Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The House Speaker declares the Chaguanas West seat vacant. Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago to work together on national security issues. And 2 holidays at the end of this month, says the Communications Minister. Thank you for joining us. The Speaker of the House has officially declared the seat for the Chaguanas West constituency vacant. The announcement was made this afternoon as Parliament convened for the first time since the MP's resignation took effect.
Although former Chaguanas West MP Jack Warner resigned effective April 26th, his resignation has now been officially accepted by the House of Representatives. Speaker of the House, Wade Mark, began Parliament by reading the letter of resignation submitted by Mr. Warner.
Honorable Speaker of the House, I hereby inform you of my decision to resign as the Member of Parliament for the Chaguanas West constituency, effective midnight tonight, Friday, April the 26th, 2013. I enjoyed my stint in the Parliament under you because at all times you demonstrated fairness and impartiality in your judgments, thereby maintaining the hallowed sanctity of the House. In this regard, I reiterate that from midnight tonight, Friday, April the 26th, 2013, my resignation as a Member of Parliament for the Chaguanas West constituency will be in effect. Respectfully, signed, Jack Warner.
The House Speaker says, according to the Constitution, the seat for the Chaguanas West constituency in the House is now officially vacant.
Section 69(3) of the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago states, and I quote, "Where a vacancy occurs in the House of Representatives within the first 4 years of the life of the Parliament, a by-election shall be held to fill such vacancy, not later than 90 days from the date of the announcement by the Speaker of the vacancy." End of quote. In view of the foregoing, I hereby declare the seat of Chaguanas West vacant.
This now paves the way for a by-election to be held in the constituency, so a Member of Parliament may be elected to represent the people of Chaguanas West. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
In other news, Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Bissessar is reinforcing crime-fighting measures with CARICOM neighbour Grenada. This as the Grenadian Prime Minister, the Honourable Keith Mitchell, visited this country for talks on deepening ties with Trinidad and Tobago.
Grenada's relations with this country continue to be strong. This as Prime Minister Kamla Bissessar has reinforced support in the CARICOM neighbour security and fight against criminal elements. Currently, Grenadian Prime Minister Keith Mitchell is in the country for further deepening relations talks. However, Prime Minister Bissessar says discussions with her Grenada counterpart has looked at expanding existing security monitoring projects on the island that utilizes radars. Radar facilities in Grenada were established under a joint arrangement as part of the region's fight against illegal trade of narcotics and weapons. Similar facilities were established in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and St. Lucia.
Cabinet has recently agreed to give support for some infrastructural works for that end, where our cabinet, to give support in that regard. So I expect very shortly that particular part that is now not totally covered, that will also fall in stream with the radar. So that has turned out to be quite a good project. We've done a lot of work on it for the last 3 years. And it seems to be working fairly well.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister leads the region in crime and security measures within CARICOM. The Grenadian Prime Minister says the radars continue to assist in the fight against crime as it has helped in the intercepting of several major drug finds seeking entrance on the island.
The radar arrangement we have, it's very much intact. The system is up and running. The central command system is operating very effectively. In fact, only this morning, about 8 o'clock, I was called to say that we've had the third major interception of drugs because of that radar support system that we have set up with Trinidad. At the southern end, things are working beautifully.
Prime Minister Persad Bissessar says this country continues to partner with the United Nations and other international crime-fighting stakeholders for the further strengthening of crime-fighting initiatives.
This is a project where we are partnering with the UN DOC, and that project, as far as I'm aware, is ongoing. It is something for the entire Caribbean, in fact, where it could track where a particular weapon may have come from. So that project is ongoing.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Persad Bissessar added that Cabinet has approved the addition of new vehicles to the police service, as well as training for Special Reserve Police officers.
Yesterday, in the Council, we gave approval to the Commissioner of Police to purchase over 300 police vehicles. We want to use these vehicles for normal police work, but also we are in the process of creating a rapid response unit, so that these vehicles in each vicinity of the stations, we would have vehicles there that can be deployed within that district. We also took the decision that starting in June, we will be sending for training about 2,000 SRPs. The Ministry of Tertiary Education has identified modules for training, which will allow the SRPs those who have applied as SRPs to work alongside police officers. So those two things are happening together to increase the manpower to assist the police, as well as to give a better response to the public through the rapid response unit.
The Grenadian Prime Minister also confirmed his attendance during United States Vice President Joe Biden's visit to Trinidad later this month. In 2010, this country received some US $1.6 million from US President Barack Obama to assist in advancing the development and implementation of programs aimed at increasing public security. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Citizens can look forward to a rather lengthy weekend of 4 days come the end of May. The announcement was made by Communications Minister Senator the Honorable Jamal Mohammed during the weekly post-cabinet media briefing, as both Indian Arrival Day and the Christian Corpus Christi holidays fall on the same day.
As you know, in 2013, 2 public holidays fall on the same day here in Trinidad and Tobago, and that will be on Thursday, the 30th of May, will be Indian Arrival Day and Corpus Christi for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The Public Holidays and Festivals Act, Chapter 1905, states that where a public holiday falls on a Sunday, or where 2 public holidays fall on the same day, the next following day that is not a public holiday shall be a public holiday. Accordingly, we are pleased to advise the national community that Thursday, the 30th of May, 2013, and Friday, the 31st of May, 2013, have been officially designated public holidays in Trinidad and Tobago.
When we come back, we focus on Mother's Day. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Women's Arm of the United National Congress, in the spirit of Mother's Day, has recognized the contributions of mothers to the development of Trinidad and Tobago.
In today's society, a woman holds many titles. However, that title which is most prominent is that of a mother. Minister of State in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure and Member of Parliament for Chaguanas West, the Honourable Stacey Rupnarine, on Thursday hosted a special Mother's Day dinner at the Gaston Court in Chaguanas as chairperson of the National Women's Arm of the United National Congress. The event brought together mothers who hold political office and those who have made other significant contributions to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of State in the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, Ramona Ramdial, noted the recognition women have received around the world and even locally.
Women have really made their mark in society and have really impacted upon the development and global development as a whole throughout the world. And I must say that they are widely recognized, they are globally recognized, and they are really charting a course as leaders. And I want to say by extension that the Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Bissessar, has shown her fortitude and strength as a woman political leader and our first female Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is a grand achievement.
Senate Vice President Lindira Udit listed the many functions that women have within their household and in the wider community.
You are, as I said, very powerful. You are persons who have shaped, you have held budgets, family budgets. You have taught your children religious values and the way of the spirit, the strength of families, the strength of your communities.
The Honorable Stacey Rupnarayan said that the function was planned in 1 week's time and was pleasantly surprised by the large turnout. In addressing those gathered, the Honorable Minister acknowledged the role and responsibility mothers have in taking care of their children.
But I ask you today that as mothers, that you don't only take responsibility for your child, but rather take responsibility for every child. Too often we see children being influenced by negatives in society, crime, violence, and many negativities that keep them away from the path of good and the path of righteousness. I say that it falls upon you as mothers to ensure that we preserve this country and our long-held values of love, compassion, equity, tolerance, and discipline by imparting this knowledge to our children.
She says it is not an easy task, but by taking responsibility of all children, mothers will assist in curbing crime by nurturing and molding future leaders. She also noted that too often women choose to stay in the background and work, but called on women to recognize that they are equal to men and can deliver just as well as their male counterparts. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago is participating in the Caribbean Growth Forum to work toward the collective development of the Caribbean community. This move is in line with growth objectives already identified by the government and its stakeholders.
Trinidad and Tobago is joining in the quest for the collective development and growth of the Caribbean. On Wednesday, a large turnout of stakeholders attended the Caribbean Growth Forum Trinidad chapter launch workshop at the Hyatt Regency Trinidad. The CGF is a joint initiative by the Compete Caribbean Program, the Inter-American Development Bank, the World Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank, and is supported by the Canadian International Development Agency, the United Kingdom's Department for International Development, CARICOM Secretariat, and the University of the West Indies. The CGF is part of the donor agency's commitment to support the Caribbean and develop and implement inclusive growth policies that generate jobs and opportunities for all. It is a unique platform as it engages all critical players, including the public sector, the private sector, academia, the youth, civil society, and the Caribbean diaspora in the dialogue on how to stimulate economic growth. The 3 topics of research and dialogue at Wednesday's forum were investment climate, skills and productivity, and logistics and connectivity. The Honorable Minister of Planning and Sustainable Development noted that Trinidad and Tobago is already making progress on identifying areas which require attention for national growth and that the CGF had been framed with larger national dialogue that the country has made progress on.
The Caribbean Growth Forum is not a parallel exercise. It is not intended to be a day of dialogue of issues identified by our development partners, though we welcome their collaboration and support. We are using the Growth Forum instead to propel our own work forward, to drill down to some specific priorities and actions that we can implement to make lasting improvements to business in Trinidad and Tobago, while we keep an eye on what is possible collaboratively across the region. We are looking for collaborative action from the private sector, from civil society and from labor unions, so that together we can make growth and development happen. We value tremendously enlightened leadership from the non-government sectors.
The Honourable Minister says there is a collective responsibility for all to increase productivity and competitiveness to grow the country and to improve the lives of everyone in Trinidad and Tobago.
This dialogue, therefore, is not the end of the process. We expect that the dialogue will give us action plans, identify responsibilities and milestones for implementation, and build consensus. But the real change comes only if we can execute these plans together. The Growth Forum can facilitate some of this change as it will allow development partners such as the Inter-American Development Bank to align their lending and technical assistance projects with the priorities we identify. But ultimately, the responsibility for change rests with us who live here.
At the end of June, there will be a regional conference where findings of the research and participatory dialogue from all the Caribbean countries where the forum took place will be disseminated. This will then move into an implementation phase once the policy actions are identified. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Still to come, TNTech lights up South Trinidad. The Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission, through its Public Lighting Department, has illuminated more than 10 recreation grounds and over 180 facilities. That's over the past few months. The revelation was made as Minister of Public Utilities, the Honourable Nizam Bash, and TNTech concluded yet another public lighting program in the Penal and environs.
The members of Parliament for each constituency are expected to make representations on behalf of their constituents. And it is because of the hard work of these men and women that we're able to celebrate events such as this one. Young Member of Parliament, Dr. Rudal Mulinal, is no exception to that rule.
Minister of Public Utilities, the Honourable Nizam Baksh, emphasises that the recreation ground illumination program is spreading like wildfire in this country. He says since it was introduced through the provision of the National Social Development Program, it has accelerated tremendously.
I would like to emphasize, however, that while as a government we have to ensure that the conditions exist for the acquisition of wealth and of things that pertain to your welfare, it is up to you to make the most of these opportunities. Take this ground for example. The advantages of lit grounds when they are used by community are many. They provide opportunities for exercise and relaxation, aid in the development of community cohesion and togetherness, and they become a safe place where youth can engage in activities that are beneficial to them and to the community as a whole.
Against this backdrop, government decided that the illumination of recreation grounds was very important, not only for the sporting activities which it enhanced, but for the overall health of citizens. The minister underscores that this illumination program must be tied in very closely with certain health policies advocated by his colleagues.
I want to remind you that an enhanced facility such as this one could be put to other uses that are just as beneficial. Bazaars, family days, religious celebrations and reenactments, health fairs, all of these events strengthen communities by bringing individual members and families together.
Member of Parliament Rudal Munilal was also on hand for the ceremony and congratulated the minister and TNTech for this initiative. He noted that this will indeed go a long way.
Economic diversification is really opening the society up with lights, with highways, with road, with bridges. In a few days, the Ministry of Works commenced a massive construction to fix and rehabilitate Sadu village. Well, you don't want to know where that is now. That is between Barrackport to Penal, a link road from Barrackport to Penal. We are going to pave and do the drainage work there. There's an area long neglected named Siu Trace. There's a bridge breakdown there, I think, for about 20 years. The Ministry of Local Government is going to build a bridge to connect Budu Trace to Ramai Trace.
The ceremony concluded 1 out of 3 public lighting of recreation grounds, which took place at Hill Peace in Palmist, Gandhi Village, and Congo in Pinal. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us. The reopening of the San Fernando Playground was celebrated and named in honor of a great San Fernandian, Haji Shafiq Rahman, who contributed considerably to the development of our country through his leadership in business and religion. Speaking at the event was MP for San Fernando West, Carolyn Persad, the Mayor of San Fernando, Navi Muradali, and other dignitaries.
The children who play together learn to live together. MP Carolyn Persad says, "This is why there will never be too many playgrounds in San Fernando, or in Trinidad and Tobago as a whole. This is why the reopening of this playground is named in honor of a great San Fernandian, Haji Shafiq Rahman. He was the founder of ASJA and knew the value of play as an educational tool."
As the great scientist Albert Einstein said, play is the highest form of research. And this is a place for them to have some serious research time. Playgrounds teach kids to develop relationships, practice responsibilities, grow their interpersonal skills, and develop healthy attitudes to life. Children who play and are active are less likely in later life to become delinquents.
She says it is a pity that this playground does not have a continuous history of use since it was first opened 25 years ago on December 17, 1988. However, she notes one cannot change the past and just have to learn from it. In this context, MP Carolyn Persad sought to congratulate the interim San Fernando Hill Management Committee and the staff of the Forestry Division for making the park once more available to the many people, not just San Fernandians and other Southerners, who visit San Fernando Hill.
What makes this hill unique and why the playground should never be allowed to fall back into disuse or disrepair is that the hill is a place for families, for picnics, for reunions, for liming, and for togetherness. I believe that it is a great place for parents and children to play together and deepen the bonds that hold them together.
What makes this hill unique and why the playground should never be allowed to fall back into disuse or disrepair is that the hill is a place for families, for picnics, for reunions, for liming, and for togetherness. Mayor of San Fernando, Navi Muradali, believes it is a great place for parents and children to deepen bonds.
We want to do it by creating a space that really promotes sustainable living. Everything that we try to do in the city of San Fernando is about sustainable living. And this is the message I think that Mr. Gosain said in his greetings this morning, that the Hill Committee, they look at doing everything in a sustainable way.
Among the lessons that playgrounds teach you are how to share and how to lose, how to get along with others and how to respect the views of other children. It is through this the San Fernando Hill Committee believes will help to build strong communities and neighborhoods. Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, Carolyn Persad, is optimistic that people of her constituency will be pleased with this initiative. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.